delivery for Putzmeister TK50, serial number 3271.
The only sacrificials are here and the other side. These are more for me to push them out, but you can grease them once a month. Long term, give you a PDF. That's what you have in a PDF. Daily, weekly, monthly, and yearly. Once a month, you'll grease these. Not much though. Okay. Not much.
And the most common wear parts that go out first is pretty much this part right here?
Well, that meaning inside.
Right.
So you got the wear ring, where the two new colors are?
Yeah.
Yeah, those, and then this bearing here.
I noticed you had duct tape on it. Is that just for...
It's just insulation.
Insulation?
Installation.
Oh, it's all, okay, yeah. Just like insulation, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Just to orientate the whole square. But it'll fall off.
So when you prime this thing, you're going to fill this up with water?
Hey, I'm white, I'm late, so I throw in 1 5-gallon bucket and I put it in pump forward and I let it go 2 strokes. I stop and my slick pack that's in the other 5-gallon bucket. I throw
Or in the elbow or in here?
I didn't know.
Okay.
I'm lazy.
But you still got to get that in the cylinder,
Turn
right?
the machine back on and let the pump it in.
Okay.
2 strokes, I stop. Okay, and on top of it.
Okay.
And you'll know about the sweet spot of the machine. Usually.
So 5 gallon buckets enough to prime it?
Puedes quitar la música, porfa, que después me ponen copyright en el video. Gracias.
10 gallons altogether.
Okay.
So you'll suck that down, and then you'll find the sweet spot of the motor as far as priming out, you know, through 200 foot or 150 foot. 50s are pretty fast by nature, so you got to kind of choke them down a little bit. So usually I'll suggest you screw all the way in, and then 2 full turns out, and then try to prime out like that, and see where you're at, see how far it goes. If it goes 175 feet, well, maybe I'll go 2.5. See where that goes.
Buckets. 2.5 what of what?
Turn.
Oh, okay.
2.5 turns of the volume control.
The throttle.
No.
Okay, okay. Okay.
The throttle for the motor, you always leave at 1 speed.
All the way.
2100.
Yeah.
2100.
So I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's go to the front.
Go for it.
We'll work our way back. Right in front of the water. So just like a trailer, you got a pickel hook, 2 chains that you cross, a breakaway cable, and this works off the battery. Correct. Your lift jack, it's a 2-position lift jack. You know, you got the front of the tongue, 7-pole connector. Okay. In the front here, you do have your radiator. It's up top here.
Right.
There's a radiator cap.
Oh, for my fluids, right?
That's
Yeah.
Is there an indicator on that fluid that I know that it's...
No.
I just keep an eye on it.
Keep your eye on it.
Okay, go for it.
Correct. So you got your secondary filter with your pump. If you're priming pump, you run out of fuel, that's what you'd pump it from.
Say that again?
If you happen to run out of fuel, this is where you'd prime it from.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah.
So
prime
You let
the
the air
system.
out, right? Yeah.
To prime the
Right.
system.
Okay.
So then you got fuel, oil, you got your filter cap, dipstick.
Okay.
And then you look under here, your air filter. So you're going to change these at 250 engine hours. Here,
999. Okay.
engine hours. And we're using a 10W30 T4 Rotilla. It's a full synthetic. Now you can go anything you want. I mean, that's what the
No, I'm gonna use whatever. Yeah.
You got a full gauge here, and it's just a mechanical gauge. And that's all that is.
Okay.
So you can fill.
Wherever it's at.
Yeah, it's just a mechanical. There is a low part on the tank in your PVF. It'll tell you monthly inspection, and there's a low part on every tank here, and on the hydraulic tank, I'll let water out because you have condensation.
Right.
Hot and cold. Hot and cold.
This, how do you let the condensation out on this one?
So
There's a lower.
If you look right here, there's a little drain plug.
Okay.
See that little plug there?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. You just crack it open and let a little bit of water out. This is at level in the morning when it's cool.
That when it's and let me ask you something. Can I put? It's okay to put an additive that kills that water?
Sure, you
okay.
can.
Because I do it for my truck because that water kind of keeps. Yeah. Okay.
You can. Yeah. It's a very good thing to do, but you know a lot of people don't do it anymore.
No, but for this it's different.
But you will have hot and cold because you have returning fuel, you have returning oil. It's going to get hot, and when it cools back down, you know.
Yeah.
You don't get condensation, more and more and more.
And that's on that corner over there, right? To drain it.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Go ahead, Oscar.
So you have your 3 proximity switches, and those coordinate switch over, and we'll kind of go over them later on. But that's electrical signal that it gets, and the computer turns it to an analog to a digital signal, and then it computes it, and then when that piston's down, that S tube is over. And this piston's back, that
Goes this way. Okay.
just orientates the computer. So there's actually 3, 2 that you use, and then the third one is an autocorrect. Every 5th stroke, it waits for it. It corrects itself. Because after time, because the loop oil expands at a different rate as returning oil comes in. What happens is that piston will start adding more oil. So then it'll shorten itself, shorten, and pretty sure you kind of understand?
Yeah, I get.
So every fifth stroke it sees it and it must go all the way up, and then that corrects it. That pushes any loop oil out.
So that's just kind of checks and balances of both.
Correct.
Okay.
The old Putzmeister, from the 88 down, you'll see an operator come in and, like, especially on a boom truck, he'll correct himself and he'll hold it, and you'll hear it, donk, and then he'll go ahead and start pumping. He's correcting the system because it doesn't have an autocorrect.
Do I have to correct?
No, not this one. Anything 95 and above, you don't have to correct anymore.
Okay.
But the older Putzes still you have to.
Okay.
So this is their compensation for how to get by the system.
Okay.
So every fifth stroke you're going to hear lug for a second.
Yes, yeah. And that's from the hose too. You'll hear the hose again.
Correct. Now, when something's stiff, if you have a 5-inch slump, it'll never correct itself because the loop hole isn't adding to itself. Something loose, a 10-inch slump, you push in water for a half hour, you'll have to correct it because the hot oil and the return oil is too different.
But it'll do it for me.
It'll do it for you.
Okay.
So that's what
In the process of the whole.
The third one, proximity switch does. So when you call me and say, listen, it pumps just fine, but every fifth stroke it stops, and I got to hit the autocorrect, and then it keeps pumping 5 more strokes to stop. Well, then we know the autocorrect is bad. If it goes down and comes back and stops, then we know it's a proximity switch.
Right.
Because one side is not working. Okay. If it goes down once and stops, then we know the whole system's dead. We blew a fuse somewhere. So we'll go into that a little bit later. You got your water box here, and it's just a simple drain.
Okay.
And that's it.
Okay.
If you flip it around on this tab, it'll drain by itself.
Got it. When you dry, yeah, okay.
And then every night before you leave the job, after you grease, you're going to drop the water.
Okay.
Because in the packings is a Teflon ring, and of course Teflon, rubber, and steel contract at different rates. It'll actually suck up like a straw. So then when you start in the morning, it returns the water back to the tank.
So just put it in the first thing.
So if you dump the tank or the water box every day, you got that problem doesn't exist.
So just every day.
Yeah, that's the industry norm. Is dropping the water
After every day, right?
after every day. You always leave it dry.
Okay.
And then every morning, like I said, you fill it up, stroke it twice. You know it pumps. Go on to the job.
Got it.
And
That's
then-
my biggest fear, showing up there and the damn thing. I got 3 trucks waiting on me, you know?
Yeah. So the industry norm usually is an hour beforehand, and then you're leaving, a half hour. So you're an hour and a half. That half hour, that hour gives you an hour and a half at your shop trying to figure out why it's not stroking. Or it gives you time to call the concrete company. Hey, listen, why don't you back it up about a half hour?
Yeah.
Let me figure this out.
Okay.
Somebody hits a button, somebody hits, whatever. There's always assholes on the job, and they come over before you leave.
Yeah.
They walk off, and then you come in the morning, and you're like,
Yeah. Won't go.
what the hell? What the hell's going on? So,
Yeah, kill switch.
you got your agitator, and this is inside the hopper. Your neutral
Agitator back here for the hoppers?
for the hopper.
Yeah.
Correct. The agitator's pushing itself.
Okay.
You got a neutral, you got reverse, forward.
Is there any particular reason why you would need forward or reverse?
Okay, so there's some practicality to it. They're small enough, or like a mortar machine. It ain't gonna mix dry concrete. I mean, they're just not that big.
Yeah.
But however, the norm is you're going to put it into the filter. Now, if you have an 8 or 9 inch pump, they're not big enough to do anything. You can have them reverse or forward; it won't matter. This is being the application of like 3-inch pump, 4-inch pump. So you're gonna see air come out, because it's pulling it away from the material filter.
Okay.
It
So
has to
majority
be
of the time is just throwing it in there.
Correct.
That way.
Correct. Now, like I said, if you pump every day a 9 or 10-inch pump, no, it doesn't really matter which way you have it. It's too loose, too much water. If you're doing still cell, something like that. So then you have a hydraulic filter with a gauge here. And this is also at 250 engine hours. You're going to change this. The gauge gives you a common indication. In the morning, you're going to see a little red because it's cold and it's harder to suck because it's working off the vacuum.
The red is the heat or is the red is the pressure?
Pressure. Okay. How much it takes to draw in.
Right.
So in the morning, you're going to see maybe a little bit of red, and then as you get pumping, the oil warms up, it'll go down to yellow and then green. So at the end of the job, you would read the gauge, not in the beginning of the morning, because you're going to always see red.
Now, I'm changing out these things right here. Do I need to fill them back up, like on this one, do I need to fill it back up with hydraulic fluid and then turn it to keep it, or just to keep it empty?
No, because we're going to go into that. Because the engine runs on the straight shaft, it runs to the main pump, runs to the dual barge gear pump. this hose right here alone, all that's doing is taking the oil out of the tank, into the filter, into the cooler, back to tank.
Right.
At 31 liters a minute. That's all that takes. So even at an idle, it's cooling and cleaning and stuff.
Right.
So my idea is, where I'm going with this, if you run the engine at half speed, you're only cooling yourself halfway. You understand?
So here, full time. Same thing like, yeah.
So full out all the way.
But what I'm saying is when it's time at 250 hours, then you change this, and
The only one I pre-fill is the oil in the fuel.
that's my question. So the oil, the fuel, and the oil, or this one, right?
Yeah.
Everything else I can just put straight on.
Correct.
Okay.
Right.
Fuel and oil.
Okay, so we talked about your water box, your main drive pump, your 2 barns pump. The operator control panel will hit next. So in your operator control panel, I know you want to think of it as a forward, but it's a pump initiator. So when I hit it a pump on meaning I'm turning the circuit on, it's always in a forward gear. You understand?
Which means basically a truck, it's in a gear, it's in gear.
A forward gear. Yeah.
Well, it's like pushing your foot on the clutch, and you have it in first, second, third.
Right.
That is the clutch.
So that's okay. That's what I need. Yeah. So that's the clutch. So you have it on, initiated, or off?
Right now. So when I turn it on, it's always in a forward gear. If I turn it off, it stops. But if I put it in reverse, now I initiate the pump again. Now it's in a reverse gear because I have it in reverse.
So
And this is
basically,
just a pump.
basically this switch will control the direction of the concrete, and this will tell it to turn on and off.
Correct.
So when you have both of those, this is in reverse. When you have both lights on.
So if I
What
turn
lights?
it,
Oh, there's a lights. Okay.
Yeah.
so if I turn it off and I turn the reverse off and I go ahead and put
Now-
it in a forward gear,
now it's forward.
It's always in forward now. Always in
Why
forward.
would I need it any other way other than forward?
Well, if you got if you're using 3 or 4 inch, you can suck your ball back. If you get a plug here at the ass end, you can suck it back,
And
chew
I'm
it up in
sucking
the
it back
hopper.
here.
Yeah.
Correct.
This one, right?
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, because
But you
we're
just
gonna
have
use
to-
we're gonna use a bolt. So you suck it from the end to this way.
If you're using 3 or 4 inch, you're correct.
We have 3 inch. Yeah. So.
You just have to be careful of not doing the. What is that I cannot do? Like put it in reverse like that?
Forward to reverse.
Yeah, like doing this.
Yeah, you can't do that.
No, you have to turn it off first, then set the gear or whatever you want to call this direction, and then turn it on again.
Shit.
Yeah,
Right,
it will.
because
It will make it. Yeah,
In
exactly.
the forward reversing gear, the spool is in the center.
Right.
You have a working pressure here and working pressure here. I add 5 bar here or 5 bar here. If it's all the way here and I add 5 bar here, it's going to slam it over and potentially stick in that hole. And now I can't get it out of reverse because you're going forward to reverse, forward to reverse. It's finally jammed into something.
And we're talking about the what you call it, right? Cylinders.
No, the forward reversing valve here. See these 2 valves?
Oh, okay.
Your furthest one controls pistons, and the one closest to you controls the orientation of the rock valve.
Those two.
So those are forward reversing valves. So that's loop oil or pilot oil or working pressure on either end of those valves.
Okay.
So when I hit reverse, it sends pressure on one side, it pushes the spool over, and now I'm reverse. I turn it off, it goes back to neutral, I hit forward, it pushes oil. So if I go from forward to reverse,
go up and down.
it's got 6
Right.
inches to crash into.
Okay.
You know,
So
5 drop.
always off before I do this one.
Correct.
Correct.
Yes.
And that'll be the green light.
Correct. So
And just to make sure, so that this is for the pistons, right? Is that what, no, you said it wasn't for the pistons. You said it's
What's
for
that?
this right here. These two are for these.
Oh well, the farthest one is for the switching
that's it.
cylinders,
Right.
And the closest one to you is for the piston.
Okay.
now we'll
Yeah.
bleed back into that. I mean, I'll show you actually how to move them manually.
Okay.
Right.
So just for this panel purposes, you know, we'll keep moving on. So you got into a forward gear, you got your reverse, and then that would be in reverse gear, correct? Cooling fan,
Which is always on.
always on,
Yeah.
hear it. So when you start up in the morning, that's gonna always be on. Now,
When you start it, or just,
after I get it started, I always turn it on.
Right.
A lot of owner operators open up the panel and tie the 2 wires together, so it's always on. Always.
I'll always have it on.
It's just because remember, like cooking oil, if you let it get too far, it'll come on eventually through a sensor, but it'll keep rising way above that before it starts actually cooling.
So just always have it on when.
Always have it on. Okay. So then local is the dot in the square in the box for local, and then this means none of these panels work, and then this would be your remote function. Now
You
nothing
switch it
works.
over to remote.
Or switch over remote.
So this is the panel, the middle, and then this is going to be the remote.
Well, the middle would be off. Either ones don't work. You pick it up and pull it, and now this works.
Right. But if you just want the remote, then you would just put it right here,
No, all the way over.
all the way to this side, right?
Yep. All the way. Okay. So the way I usually start a food swing a little different is I turn on until I see the light. I press and hold the button, and I just turn the key switch. Now you can, and then you can hit start. It's hard to find out where the stator is, you know what I mean? So if I turn it on and I hold the start button and I just press it.
There's no warm-up time for the...
It's automatic.
Yeah, okay.
As soon as I turn the key switch on, it goes automatically. That's why you get the delay for 4 seconds.
Yeah.
It automatically does it for you.
And there's no choke or nothing on it, right?
No.
Okay, just
it's all automated. You got the one light that tells you, of course, the alternator's not on. And of course, you have oil pressure right now, so the light won't be on. In the mornings, they tend to be on. If I hit the e-stop button, you get a red light. You know that the e-stop's on. It will now not start.
Right.
So I turn it back on. I release it. Goes back. Same with your hopper grate. If you lift your hopper grate up, you're going to get a red light.
Why?
Because the hopper grate keeps it from turning on, so you can't.
So it's a safety.
It's like
Okay.
it's like another
Like a seat,
emergency stop.
Okay.
So you got a simple RPM gauge to let you know what your engine's doing, a cooling temperature gauge on the radiator to know you know what you're doing, an hour meter. Now I'll get into the last switch.
So this is all continuous no matter what, right?
Correct.
Yeah, okay.
Correct. That's always running. If you have the key switch on, you're going to see it running. It's always running.
Okay.
The only time it doesn't is when you have the key switch off. But if it's in an idle, it's counting. If it's pumping, it's counting. Since 2018, they now split up pump hours and engine hours.
Right.
I'm going to tell you what the last switch is. We'll bleed back into that a little bit later. But you're going to use the switch different than what I use it for. So if I turn the door, and I turn the pump on, it's not pumping anything because I got it screwed all the way in. The pistons are now slowed down. But I can emulate, I can switch it over now anytime I want.
Which other side?
Yes.
Okay.
So in theory, what that does is, how that works is a numerical order has to transpire for that to switch over. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. If I leave 3 out, it doesn't know what to do. The machine just freaks out and holds pressure. So if our proximity switch should go out, that's number 3. It doesn't know what to do next. I can emulate 3
Manually.
by the test button. Correct. So if a proximity switch went out,
yeah, you would
it would go down and come back and stop. I hit the button, it go down and come back and stop.
This would come later the right.
Correct.
Right. Okay.
So I can trick the machine into thinking the proximity switch is good.
Right.
And I can just keep hitting the
So
button.
this is safety. Okay.
Now my button is different from your button. I'm holding pressure now. Yeah. So I'm using different than you.
So this is the amount of volume going through the piston, through the things?
No.
So if you can think about this, percentage-wise, you tell what the main drive to come onto. So every turn would be 10%. So 10%, 20%, 30%, 40%, 50%,
Of
and
what?
so on.
Of what?
Of how much
Volume.
liters of per minute you want to go through the pump.
Right.
Which accumulates how fast the pistons go.
Right.
So the more I screw it in, like a water faucet, the slower it's going to go. The pistons.
Uh-huh.
The faster I come out, boom, boom, boom,
That's,
boom, boom.
yeah, for the finishers, guys, keep it slow for them, so that keeps, so the guys can keep up with it. Because now it'll be a shitload of.
They will ask you for more, or just tell you, "Hey, man, that's too much."
Yeah.
So you will
So
regulate
volume
the
it
flow.
down. Got it. Okay.
That will regulate the flow.
Now on this one, how do I see because this is just, there's nothing on here, right? Which gauge am I looking at to look at the flow?
On main pressure.
Main pressure. And what is usually what people are at when they're pouring 1,000?
Well,
That all depends, right?
Well,
I get it.
You're going to top out around about 300 bar. So that's almost about 48, 4,700 psi. Now, if you have 200 foot of 2-inch on, or we got 3-inch or
3-inch, yeah.
So if you got 200 foot of 3-inch, you're going to be at full out. You're going to be probably like around 200. So usually I like to stick around 150 or so, 170. About as I go. Anything more than that, and they want to go faster, I add water. Now you decrease your speed and you speed up now just by adding water. You don't have to touch anything. If it's coming out, at a 5-inch slump and they're like, hey Matt, come on, you need to go faster. Put 10 gallons in it. Well, they'll be like, hey man, slow the thing down.
Yeah, they don't want to use water though sometimes. Yeah. So then I get to throw through here.
When it's flat water, you can use water, but when it's steps or something like that, you can load.
Yeah. So then you got main pressure. This is on the head of the piston. This is not 300 foot downstream.
This is right there. Yeah.
Right at the head of the piston, right. Your accumulator pressure, which is stored energy on your switchover. And so what that does is that last pump that you see builds 100 bar. And this nitrogen bottle here that's got a bladder in it is another 100 bar. Together they make the 200 bar that you see in.
Okay.
So that's where you're getting that pressure. So it's stored energy. It's cheap stored energy.
Yeah.
If I build a pump to accommodate this without the accumulator, well, I can, but it's going to cost the consumer a lot more money. However, there's a drawback to the system. If that bladder goes bad and that pump tries to keep up to 200 because it needs 200 to shift, it's going to burn the pump up too. So you can take both systems out at once.
How do you check to make sure everything's good on that?
Okay, so we'll go over that. Yeah, we'll go over that. I'm kind of telling you, guidelines. So then you got your throttle, your engine, like I said, engine throttle, accumulator, main pressure, volume control. Your gauge here for your hydraulic, correct. And then you got a small temperature gauge here in the center. So that's an AW46, an anywhere 46 that we're using. They do 68, 46, and they do a 34. 34 is real expensive. 40.
What are you talking about? The type of hydraulic fluid?
Type of hydraulic fluid. The manufacturer wants 68. We go a little step farther. We put 46 in there, and that gives you about the most wear for your. A little bit more expensive. It's about $2.75, $2.75 more a gallon. But it cleans more efficiently.
And that's what's in here?
Correct.
Yeah.
I don't know, 3,000 gallons on here. If you call Napa, usually the most common is 68, 46, 32.
Right.
That's the most common. This plug on the end is for your control. So if I use a hardline cable, I take this off, plug that in, right, and now we put it in the remote, and then use the cable. So this, I designed a system so it takes off real easy. If you lose this system or lose the pump, and for whatever reason you got 3 pumps, you can take this off and put another pump and go. The antenna things incorporated in it, you just take it off, stick it on there, plug it in, let's go. Okay. As long as it stays a Putzmeister. Now if you go to a swing, it's a little bit different.
Is there a horner here that they hit or no? No, right? So they just don't, okay.
Do not. So the finisher or
the concrete guy.
The concrete mixer driver, he'll hit the stop and then shut the machine off. I mean, now you can show him. The downfall is when I set the remote up, he can no longer be in function of the box because you don't want to.
Either way, I have to keep an eye on it.
Right.
Because normally they just hit it. Hey, whatever.
Yeah.
But I'll have to keep an eye on it. Okay.
Now you can either wire a horn up if you want, or tell the guy, because the way I wired up is because we had these issues before. A guy up, on the other side of the building, he's doing the stem wall. Well, the driver over there trying to hit buttons, it speeds it up. It knocks him off the wall. So he has no longer control of it. Just you have control of it on you. That way nobody can get you hurt.
Sometimes when you like that, you're on the phone or something, they're around. I'll walkie-talkie.
I'll have a walkie-talkie.
If you're in remote, you stay in remote. Right.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's pretty straightforward. So we got 4 reversing valves in there. You got 2 and we discussed about one. And then right next to that is your nitrogen tank. And that's an inert gas we're using.
Inert?
Inert, yeah, nitrogen. So then you have your fill cap here, and that fills your hydraulic fluid up. Yep.
This is the level to keep it full all the time, right?
Correct. Correct. You just keep in mind that clean oil is dirty by nature. We filter. I built a filtering system here, and this is just for new oil.
Yeah. So new oil is still dirty.
You got 5 microns on the bottom, you got 3 on top. You can't breathe through 3. You can hardly breathe through a 5. So we clean hydraulic fluid, and it goes into your machine. So if you get a leak, you don't leak at all. find a leak, blow it. Do something about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Don't let it just keep draining on the job, and you just keep adding 5 gallons at a time. You're gonna mess on the machine.
Okay.
Switch over here in the back. You got switch over plungers, right? You get fluid on one side and there's fluid on the other. Grease lines, protective plate, and then wedge plate at the bottom. So in the monthly inspection, you're going to see how much gap you have in your cutting ring, and you'll go one flat, meaning one flat here or one flat, and they'll tension it up. And this will be usually about once a year. You'll tension up probably 3 times, and then you kick them out to replace them. So you'll go three flat from here, 1, 2, and about 3, you make 3, and then
Tightening it?
tightening it.
Yeah.
So this will be about once a year. I mean, if you're using it 10 hours a day, 5 days a week, no, you're going to tension up faster than that. But on the basis, I'm talking on a 40-hour week, 52 weeks, in about 50.
Just take it, just tighten it up.
Just tighten it up. So
How can I tell if it needs to be tightened?
We'll go over that
Okay.
at the end. Yeah, we'll go over that. So that's the tensioner and the guide plate. And you got your grease lines,
Right.
3, and then actually these 4 go to the back. These 3 go to the front.
Okay.
Your manual here, you have the grease fitting here,
Yeah.
and there's one in the motor side. You look over on your step plate, you'll see the other grease fitting.
Right here?
Correct. Yep. So 5-inch outlet bearing here, and then that's 5-inch heavy duty coupler. And you're going to be using all heavy duty coming off the SA. I don't think I think here in America they won't let you use metric anymore.
Good.
The only thing metric now is up in the boom. You kick out plate, this is for your clean out, just kick it, opens up, drops everything on the bottom. I put it in reverse, put my hose in here, let the pistons wash each other out. When I start seeing clear water, I stop, turn the machine off, close it back up, wash it, rest of it back down, wash it into the bearings, push the clean water in there, fill it back up, put a sponge, put it back together, and now clean my hose out. Done. You have some LED lights, yeah. So you got politically correct. You got the orange up front, amber. You got the for trailer lights, and then you got turn and stop, no reverse. You got your wedge pins for your mechanical outriggers. The norm is you screw it all the way down, set the rear, and then screw the top up.
What?
The front, you screw the top up. So you can either, if you put some blocks on the back and put it all the way down and then tighten it up, you can actually take the tires off the top.
Okay. But I mean, they need to have it when you're pumping, right? The outriggers?
I say if you have a 2500 and over truck, no, because the rear end's popping up.
I have a 3500.
You got no problem.
Okay. So I don't need to.
No.
Okay.
I very rarely use them.
Okay.
I've got a 2500 and had one on my truck 7 years. No problem.
Okay.
Now I've seen the Toyotas or like a 1500, it'll tear the gas end out. Just because of a rocket,
right,
it constantly
yeah.
boom, boom, boom. Finally, what happens is the ring gear and the pinion, it'll shear it off one corner of it, and then as you're driving, it'll shear the rest of them off. So that's what usually goes with the ring gear.
Okay.
If you want to keep the rear end, I wouldn't put it on a 1500 or like a van or something like that.
Yeah.
You'd be surprised how many people come up with it.
I got just carrying the hoses and everything. It needs to be like 2500. Okay.
So we'll test out and we'll go. And then as we take it apart, we'll kind of go over the the fittings and stuff like that on it. So start it up. So if you're on the job,
So we turn on the job site. We'll start it up, right?
yep,
Wanna
start
do
it up
this
and yep. You go ahead.
175 is where it's supposed to be at.
Ábrele la llave.
You said 175 for here, same up. Back to this. This right here is the flow.
Percentage-wise, it's actually a remote regulator, and it tells the pump, the regulator, what to come up, tell the main pump to
The
come
stroke.
on. Correct.
Okay.
Because it's a zero displacement pump or a variable pitch pump. So if the pump's at an idle, it's hardly moving any fluid.
Right.
Because it's not on working pressure. When you turn that switch on, it adds working pressure to the pump
To
or
do
the
it.
regulator to tell it to come on. So now the pump comes on, but what it come on at? Does it come on 50%, 40%, 30%? Boom.
Okay.
That's where you get the trick.
Will it, what happens, I'll give you an example. When you do power washing and you're there and you're not using the wand and no pressure's coming out, but the engine's working, everything like that, they say not to leave it just sitting there with just pressure without, is that the same concept here too?
Well,
Does it
yes,
hurt it?
Yes and no. Now on this machine, no, it's designed to do that. On a pressure washer, because it's mechanical, it's got a spring with a rubber orifice that actually pops up
Right.
and lets the water go back
Right.
through itself and just keeps recirculating.
Right.
However, this one is not the same principle. It's going back to tank and then drawing in more. So the pump, when you turn it up, it cuts the working pressure off and the regulator goes down to zero.
Right.
It can go down to zero. How about that?
Yeah.
Now the pump does move something
Right.
for the foremost. I mean, but
But that won't be an issue on this one if it's
No.
just sitting there
You can-
waiting for another truck or anything.
if you let it idle all day long, it wouldn't hurt it at all.
Okay.
It's meant for that.
That's pretty much it. What
You
else
know
is
what? You know, hydraulic fluid is, like people, lazy by nature. So you got to force it somewhere. The only way you can is open up a trailer valve and force it out. So that's what you're doing. Sure, yeah.
Párala. Ya la pueden parar. Ya acabaron ahí.
Gas don't look that bad at all.
Yeah?
Yeah, I'm just taking it out.
Okay. Remotes are pretty directional. We try to see, stay with the leaders in the market. These are
Pretty updated.
yeah, pretty much the leaders of the market. So, I got it in a remote.
Right, okay.
You see that?
Yeah.
So, communicating. If I hit forward,
That starts it. Forward, okay.
forward. So let me turn it in so it doesn't like you pump anything. So I hit forward, the light comes on, I hit again, it goes away. I hit reverse, forward, off. Reverse off, back to forward.
Okay.
Right? Hit reverse, it stays on. If I hit off, it's going to stay in reverse. Now it's in reverse again. Reverse again. I must turn reverse off. The light goes away. And now I'm actually doing forward here.
Now, what's the purpose of doing a forward, reverse? That's just in case it gets locked up, you're talking about? Okay, but if I do that, I'm going to do all in here because it's too much bullshit going on. Too much for me right now, But that's okay. And to start pumping,
So, in the morning, remote, it works. I'm going to put it in remote now. I'm going to release the flashing red light. Hold it for a second till they stop flashing, release them. And this will blink fast and then short and slow like it is,
Yeah.
and now they're communicating.
Okay.
I hit forward, it's in a forward gear. Off, forward, off.
But that means you start pumping though, right? It should start pumping once you go forward, right?
Yeah, I just screwed it all the way in. So
Oh, it's okay. I was making sure. So that'll stop pumping and that's it, right?
yeah, so I
That's the only two things in the remote then, right?
manually you got to screw it and turn it
Yeah,
on.
what it says,
Now,
I mean, if I'm out there and we run out of concrete, it's happening, I just turn it off and just wait for the next one to back up. Yeah.
correct.
Oh.
In 5 minutes, if it's in a neutral setting, like if it's just flashing and nothing's being worked, in 5 minutes it shuts off by itself.
Okay.
2 AA batteries. It's got a cartridge in here. You flip them out, take it out of this rubber piece, and it's 2 AAA batteries.
Got it. Okay.
And they last about 4 months. So usually I keep 2 in the glove box, and then I just switch them out. This green light will turn amber, or this amber light.
When the yellow, when the needs battery.
Yeah.
Okay. Got it. Yeah, because we're so far behind there, just come back and forth every single time or stop it. It's just too much.
And then you got a little belt to put on there, and
Around
it kind of
it.
hangs. You
Sweet.
can tighten it up, loosen it up, whatever you want.
And this one, do you push it or you just twist it?
Push it, push it,
Twist it.
and then twist it to make it pop out.
Got it.
Yep.
And that'll be so the thing. Okay, got it.
And once you see here, if you a direct representation, if you the remote. And I have it in the forward. When I hit the button, it goes out. Boom, it kills the pump.
Now, when these guys push the emergency stop, it's just gonna stop. If the engine, everything's keep on working, it's not
No.
gonna shut. It's gonna shut off everything.
To show off everything. Everything.
That's not supposed to happen though, unless it's emergency, though, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. It's
Well, basically, what I'm asking is because if I'm out there or whatever, I gotta tell the guy, hey, once again, if you, because he's gotta stop. You know, it's gotta stop pumping. So I gotta know when to stop. But normally they put a horn and says, hey, we're stop the pump, whatever.
It's up to you.
Yeah. Okay.
I see a lot of guys.
I don't want them pushing an emergency button. Just
Right.
Yeah.
I see a lot of guys hang an air horn. They buy it at Walmart for $2, and they use that
One,
for.
yeah, that's right. Great. Yeah, there you go. That's
and
the
they
fix
just
right there.
Yeah. So they put it in the truck, and then every day they put it in here. They use
perfect.
it. You know, just hit it twice. I know. I can hear it.
Got it.
The only horn on the job.
Yeah.
Versus, you know, you wiring something up, and
Yeah.
you know, it costs
No, I'd rather do it like that. I didn't think of that. Yeah.
$3, and it lasts you a month. You know.
Okay.
I think Amazon. I think I seen them on sale. They got 12 for $30.
Oh yeah, we're definitely go that route for
Fuck,
sure.
man,
Yeah.
I think it lasts you a lifetime, man.
Yeah.
I put one on my boat. I put one on my car.
Yeah, you can't go wrong. What else? What else?
Okay, so I'm gonna spit out a little bit of this water, and you can see practical wise what your shoes, because they're gonna go.
Café, sale duro.
Four. Now, does he have a thing on washout, like kind of a process to it, a video on it, or no? Like,
Yes.
He does?
Yeah.
I'm gonna need one. It's very intimidating. ¿Eh?
¿Cómo te fue con el video, Juan?
Bien,
Perfecto, gracias,
ya terminaron. Bueno.
Gracias, gracias.